Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Order. I am Templar, and hopefully you all have liked our last video on the siege of Tacoville. However, today we are actually going to be talking about the Celtic Spartacus. Now, who is the Celtic Spartacus? Well, in many stories there are different versions. However, the most obvious version was actually of an ancient Celtic nobleman that was actually known as Salanus. Salanus was actually stated to have actually fought against the Romans in the Iceni Revolt in 61 AD. And of which was stated to have actually been a nobleman in the southern edge of Britain. It was stated that while in the southern regions of Britain, it was stated that he actually felt a deep hatred for the Romans, especially after seeing what they had done to his people, incredibly enslaving them and as well forcing them into many forms of taxation. In fact, it was even stated that this Salanus was actually born sometime in 27 or 29 AD, and of which died around the year of 85 AD. However, let's actually get more into this detail so that way I can inform you all more about him. It's actually stated that Salanus was actually stated to have actually fought in the Iceni Revolt in 61 AD. However, it was stated that during his time, it was stated that he fought alongside Boudica and as well a massive amount of chariot warriors. However, it's stated that his army were badly outnumbered and as well slaughtered in the process of withdrawing from the field and never actually made it to the last battle at the Walking Street. However, it's stated that he and his allies were surrounded and as well even captured by Roman forces. The Roman legions enslaved the Celts and as well even tried to actually send them back down to Rome. However, near the region of Kent, it was stated that the Celts, led by Salanus, actually fought back against the Romans in a revolt of slaves. It was stated that the Celts charged themselves further and further north in order to escape the hands of the Romans. It was stated that Salanus ordered his men to actually keep making their way further and further in order to try their best to survive. However, hopefully trying to make it to the lands of Caledonia, as the Romans called it, or in today, modern-day Scotland. Now keep in mind, this is before Hadrian's Wall, and of which this actually keeps us a good information of how the Romans actually managed to keep hold of it. However, it was stated that while charging themselves further northward, the Celts suffered massive amounts of heavy losses due to starvation. However, this did not stop Salanus. He ordered his people to even go as far as eat grass and as well their own horses in order to survive. In fact, at a battle known as Salanus Creek, north of modern-day London, it's actually stated that Salanus and his army of only around 400 men, in the process, faced off against a massive force of Roman legionnaires that are actually around 600. It was stated that the Celts actually thought themselves to be slaughtered. However, it stated that Salanus was a great leader and as well even used an ambush-like strategy with his horses and his men, forcing the Romans to actually charge deep, headlong, into an area of woodland. It was stated here that the Romans tried their best to actually face off against the said Celts. However, Salanus, using his ingenious know-how, had actually dug pit traps the night prior, and as well, even in the further process, forced the Romans to believe that the force was bigger than what it really was. In fact, it was stated that the Romans lost around 300 to 400 men in the process, while the Celts had only lost 30. Salanus then ordered his people to even further make their way northward, hoping to actually stop the Romans from ever giving chase. However, it was stated that two other Roman legions tried to make their best way to actually halt this said escaping Celts. It was stated that while the Celts were actually making their way northward toward the area of modern-day York, it was stated that the Celts actually were halted both from the front and the rear. Salanus, seeing that it was near impossible, he ordered his forces to divide and hopefully trick the Romans yet again. It was stated that many days before this little engagement, it was stated that Salanus had actually ordered his men to take many Roman horses and as well use them to their advantage. It was stated that Salanus had actually used the horses as a type of retreating. It was stated that he had the horses actually gallop westward, while the rest of the Celtic people, which have now swelled up to 700, kept their position, hoping that this plan would work. The Romans, seeing the massive cloud of dust in the process, gave chase after the fleeing horses, hoping to believe that it was the Celts. But by 3 days later, they realized that it was nothing more than a pair of wild horses. The Celts, in the process, actually managed to evade the Romans and make their way further northward, leading to the modern-day area of Scotland. It was stated that while running towards the north, it was stated that these Celts actually ran both night and day, taking little breaks until they managed to reach the far north. Upon reaching the said northern regions, it was stated that the Celts, led by Salanus, later on elected him as a king. Salanus then stated that I will not be a king of this land, nor shall I ever be, until I reclaim my own kingdom yet again. Salanus then stated that they can in the process invade the northern region of the Romans by actually sacking raiding attacks. It was even stated that Salanus had actually made allies with the Caledonians and including many Picti in the northern regions, allowing them to give them aid in the process and even giving them the lands in the south, hoping that would end the war and as well drive the Romans out. Salanus' plan was actually surprisingly extremely brilliant, and as well it's even stated that he went as far as to actually attack the Romans far south as back down to the modern-day region of modern-day York. However, it's stated that the Romans tried their best to actually halt this advance time and time again. One Roman garrison and legion actually in the process tried to hold off the Celts. However, it's stated that the Celts further on attacked even further. It's stated that Salanus actually used type of guerrilla-like fighting along with massive horse cavalry. Using this design, he actually had his men to actually defeat the Romans time and time again. It's stated that at least 3 legions fell to him before he had died. And as well, it's even 3 to 5 Roman legions made their way northward along the region of eastern Scotland. It was stated that while following the coastline, it was stated that Salanus had actually later on tried to follow and slay the Roman legions. However, it was stated that it was led by a Roman general, who of which was sent by the Roman emperor at the time. It stated that the Roman emperor wanted to make sure to end this rebellion. However, it's stated that during the years of 85 AD, it was stated that Salanus was wanting to actually make sure and uphold his right to actually be a free man to whatever end. The Roman legion was hoping to actually end the battle incredibly swiftly. However, it's stated that Salanus had other plans. He wanted them to give chase to him in the process. Salanus, in the process, created a type of network of booby traps of many types of ancient forms, one of them being big pit traps. It's stated that Salanus had even created a type of camouflaged wall design, of which we can actually see in the Teutoburg forest. It was stated that somewhere in the northern regions of modern-day Scotland, some say somewhere south of Stirling, it was actually stated that the Britons actually tried to actually invade. However, in the process, only gave chase to the Celts, making their way further south. The Roman legions taking massive wounded and as well slaughtered in the process because of the guerrilla campaign. Salanus later on was stated to have killed at least up to 1,000 Roman legionnaires. However, this number varies time to time. However, it is stated that Salanus later on kept fighting. However, that was until it was stated that another 5 Roman legions had actually managed to make their way northward from the border of Roman Britain. This was the Romans' plan in the process, to trap Salanus in the middle, between a rock and a hard place. It was stated that the battle took place somewhere in the southern regions of the lowlands of Scotland, and of which might have actually been the border between modern-day Scotland and England. While fighting with his men, it was stated that Salanus ordered his men to give all and die for their people, otherwise give none and claim their life. His words went through like a hurricane, and of which it was stated that his men fell into a frenzy of violence upon the Romans, charging ever headward in the north into the Roman legions, while the Roman legions in the south managed to push their way further and further into the rear ranks of the Celts. However, it was stated in the year of 85 AD, of August 25th, the Romans had truly surrounded the Celts for the first time. It was stated Salanus, along with a party group of only 1,000 armed former slaves and Celtic warriors, in the process were now surrounded on all sides. It was stated that the Romans had around 2,000 to 3,000 legionnaires, and were even pushing closer and closer into the Celtic ranks. Salanus ordered his men to give all and die to the very man, and as well he stated, "Let them come and die with us." It was even stated he lifted his sword into the heavens and begged his heavenly gods to aid him in his fight. It was stated that Salanus ordered a full charge into the northern ranks of the Roman legions, and in the process to break through, hopefully into the further northern regions beyond in the lands of Scotland. However, it was stated that whilst charging forward, it was stated the Roman General Publius Nacalus ordered a full attack in the process, surrounding and slaughtering the Celts. Salanus was stated to have actually charged with such frenzy and anger. He had lost his horse beneath him, and of which was slaughtered from flesh to bone. But yet he still charged on in a frenzy of white and gold, his demon mocking of a laughter of hatred. He charged with such ferocity, even our javelins had no effect. Our pilums managed to pierce his hide, of which it looked as though we were facing not a man but a bear, a demon of demons, and a man of slaughter. It was even stated that the Romans even called him a man of Hades himself, and of which was not meant to be faced. Salanus was stated to have charged with such frenzy, he had taken such many wounds, the Romans thrusting their blades ever deeper into his flesh, however never managing to strike the killer blow. Salanus was stated to have taken many javelins, up to 10 into his body, and as well many into his own sternum of thrusts. The Romans later on saw that the only way to kill this man was to cut his head, but sadly many of them fell in the process. It was only when Salanus was finally slain by a Roman javelin to his throat, and then later had his head unmounted from his shoulders. Salanus' people were all slaughtered to the last man, all slain in the process, and it was later known as the Dead Field, after all the Celts were slain. The Romans lost around 600 to 800 men, while the Celts lost all of their 1,000. A pity of a dead of a great legion, it was said. Salanus died at the age of 58 years old, and of which it was stated that this great prince of the south never returned to his lands, but remained stained with the blood in the north. There forever, a snowdrift of Pyron is slain. Thank you all for watching. This has been Templar. Hopefully you liked my video. If you all want to know more about this guy, I will try and leave links down below. Also, please stay tuned for our more videos on Celtic Month. And as well, also check out our Facebook, so that way you can be stationed. That way all can be notified of a new video that will be coming out. Anyways guys, this has been Templar. Hopefully you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Have a great day.